In 2013, Michael Anderson, a 44-year-old man from North Carolina, had been out drinking with friends. After hours of laughter and late-night fun, he stumbled outside to relieve himself. It should have been an ordinary moment, something every person does daily. But fate had other plans. A storm earlier that night had knocked down a live power line. The cable lay hidden in the dark grass, still crackling with thousands of volts. Anderson, too intoxicated to notice, unknowingly aimed right at it. The stream of urine connected his body directly to the current, carrying electricity upward in a split second. His friends watched in horror as he collapsed instantly, his body rigid, heart stopped before he even hit the ground. By the time help arrived, there was nothing to be done. Michael hadn't climbed a pole, he hadn't touched the wire. He had died doing something as mundane as using the bathroom. Jennifer Strange and the Water Contest. In 2007, a Sacramento radio station ran a contest with a playful name, Hold Your Wee for a Wee. The challenge was simple. Contestants had to drink as much water as possible without urinating, with the winner taking home a brand new Nintendo Wii console. Among the hopefuls was Jennifer Strange, a 28-year-old mother of 3 who wanted to surprise her kids with the prize. On air, she joked with the DJs and gamely downed bottle after bottle of water. At first, the worst she felt was a pounding headache. But listeners began calling in, warning that too much water could be deadly. The hosts laughed it off, insisting it was fine. Hours later, Jennifer staggered home. Her body, overwhelmed by nearly 2 gallons of water, had entered a state called hyponatremia, water intoxication. Her blood sodium dropped so low that her brain swelled inside her skull. She collapsed on the floor and never woke up. By that evening, news spread that a mother had died over a video game contest. Jennifer's children lost their mom, and the radio station faced outrage. A silly stunt meant to entertain had ended in tragedy. Gary Hoy and the Skyscraper Window. Toronto, 1993. Gary Hoy was a respected lawyer, but he was equally known for a strange party trick. To impress visitors at his firm's offices on the 24th floor of the Toronto Dominion Centre, he would sprint full speed into one of the massive windows. Time after time, he bounced off safely, laughing, insisting the glass was unbreakable. Co-workers told the story with amusement, and Gary's confidence only grew. One evening during a reception, he decided to perform the stunt again. Guests gathered, watching with a mix of curiosity and disbelief. Gary ran, slammed into the glass, and once again it didn't break. But this time, disaster struck. The window pane stayed intact, but the entire frame gave way under the force. Gary and the glass popped free from the building, plunging 24 stories. In seconds, the crowd's laughter turned to screams. He was killed instantly on the pavement below. The irony was chilling. Gary had been right. The glass truly was strong, but in proving his point one last time, he found out the hard way that strength doesn't matter if the frame itself can't hold. His death became one of the most infamous accidents in Canadian history. Franz Reichelt, the Flying Tailor. Paris, 1912. A tailor named Franz Reichelt dreamed of flying. He was convinced he had designed a suit that could double as a parachute, allowing anyone to leap from great heights and float safely to the ground. He tested it on dummies, throwing them from his apartment window, but results were mixed at best. Still, Reichelt believed in his invention. When he received permission to test it from the Eiffel Tower, he promised authorities he would use a mannequin. On the appointed day, a small crowd gathered at the base of the tower. Journalists came with cameras, expecting a demonstration. But when Reichelt appeared, it was clear he intended to test it himself. Dressed in his heavy wing-like suit, he climbed the stairs and stepped onto the platform. Spectators begged him not to jump. He hesitated, trembling at the ledge, before leaping into the winter air. For a heartbeat, the crowd held its breath. Then, horror. The suit barely unfolded, flapping helplessly as Reichelt plummeted over 180 feet. He struck the frozen ground and was killed instantly, his invention lying in tatters around him. In that moment, he became famous, not as the man who taught the world to fly, but as the Flying Tailor who fell. Hans Steininger and his beard. In 16th century Austria, Hans Steininger was a respected town leader with one unforgettable feature: his beard. It measured more than 4 feet long, so famous that people traveled just to see it. Normally, Hans kept it carefully rolled and tucked into a pouch. But in 1567, a fire broke out in his town, spreading panic through the streets. Residents fled as smoke and flames filled the air. Hans rushed out of his home, but in his haste, he left his beard loose. As he ran down a stone staircase, the long strands tangled around his feet. He stumbled, pitched forward, and fell head first. The impact snapped his neck, killing him instantly. In a cruel twist, he survived the fire, but died from the very thing that had made him extraordinary. His beard, his pride, his legacy became his downfall. The townspeople mourned him, but his bizarre death has lived on for centuries as a cautionary tale about vanity, haste, and sheer bad luck. To trip over your own beard is unusual enough, but to die from it is one of the strangest fates history has ever recorded.